Hey, friends, before we begin, let's give some thanks to Capriati Sandwich Shop in Folsom, California. But Capriati's all across the country, people far and wide are trying to grab that Wagyu cheesesteak because I love it so much. Whole roast turkeys, quality meats and cheeses, Wagyu, fresh rolls, produce continue to impress their patrons and earn awards across the country. That's why we keep going back. Capriati's.com. Dr. David Markwell, Ridgeline Counseling. He and his 10 therapists are ready to help you. You got a problem? Let's fix it. They're at Ridgeline Counseling. Email ridgelinecounseling@gmail.com, markwelltherapy.com. If you're in Georgia, he's got 3 locations, one across from Freebae High School on Sandy Plains, and East Cobb, Marietta near the square, and McKaysville, just outside of Blue Ridge. But he can do virtual sessions. It's the day and age. markwelltherapy.com. The Mad Dog, Manny Aurora, the Aurora Law Firm.com, litigates all over the United States, based out of Georgia. Criminal defense, white collar crime, DUI, drug offenses, appeals, and more. He's the man. You know that. And thanks for those questions. They're coming in. They're rolling in after we had them on. So reach out next time he's on. And then Inspect All Pest Services. A big thank to Inspect All Pest Services, highest quality termite pest and wildlife control, but they also do insulation, pressure washing, gutter maintenance, and more. All of your home services there in Metro Atlanta and the surrounding areas. InspectAllServices.com. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's begin.
What do we want to talk about?
To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. Ralph Waldo Emerson.
Welcome to the Bailey Show podcast, a guy show women love to listen to.
Intellectually immature nonsense.
That's
BS.
That's BS.
BS. Yes. That's BS.
Okay, then, let's do it.
All right, there it is, episode 189 of the BS. Thanks for being here. My name's Jason Bailey. Right there, that is the B-Man, the most hated man on the internet still. That is Brandon Thrasher. Hello, B-Man.
Hello, everybody.
The iron-fisted one himself, Chuck Lunsford. What's up, Chuck?
What's up, man? I'm here, and I think I fixed my internet, so I'm riding that high for a while.
I don't know, man. The last couple episodes that we've done, it still sounds like you're in Afghanistan. It's and now he grabs his ear, Brandon. Have you noticed that? He grabs his ear and he's like, yes, it's Charles Lunsford reporting. I'm here.
I'm taking heavy fire, but I just want to let you know the front looks good. It looks good. It looks like we're going to be able to get a break here shortly.
You might have to go back to that clean feed. I don't know. Maybe that's the problem. But Brandon, you don't seem to have. You have the highest quality, fastest internet imaginable in South Georgia.
Yeah, that Spectrum, man, it's lightning speeds, and I'm in the basement too. I don't even have a cable plugged into mine.
That's what I was doing. That's what I was doing the other day. I was. You forget when you're moving everything that goes into moving. In your head when you first say, okay, we're moving. It's just we just got to pack the stuff. Once we get through that, we're good. We're straight like skull. But then you got to turn on your utilities, and you've got to schedule stuff, and you got to meet people, and this drive across country that we're doing is, just a thing. This is actually, the next couple episodes will be the last episodes ever in the California Golden Scissor Studio. And then there will be a new location, which I'll be able to tell you about in a week or so, where we will have a new Golden Scissor Studio location. And then I got to build that up. I got to put all my things on the wall, and I got to do this, and I got to do that. And then we're going to move in a year, so it's, where is my life gone? I just a year ago, I was sitting in this beautiful house in Roswell, Georgia, with a beautiful studio where it was so well lived in, and I had everything. I knew everything where it was at and all that good stuff. The big yard for the dogs, and then now I'm a nomad. Like, I'm just a nomad, which is kind of interesting. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day. We're about the same age. And it seems that, well, I guess it's one or the other. It's black and white. There's no gray area. It's either you are all in on where you live, and you're happy with where you live, and you have no plans to ever move from where you live, or you've reached a point where you become empty nesters, i.e., Honey, I Raised the Kids podcast on Mondays here on the network. And you're like, I'm going to downsize and I don't want to be tied down to anything. And I'm just going to rent. And then there's like that chunk of your life, that next 20 years from the ages of 50 to like 65 or 70, where you kind of want to live and be able to do different things. And I don't know where I'm at. I'm very confused about this whole thing. Because Chuck, you'll probably never move from your house, right?
We talked about it. I mean, I think, kids are still young. So when, obviously the last kid, when they turn 18, you sit there and you have that coming to Jesus moment and you're like, okay, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it now and we're going to travel and things like that. But dude, I was an old dad. Well, I was an old dad. I am an old dad. So I'm going to be, man, he's almost 60 when my last one graduates high school. So, at that point, I'm just preparing to die. And, I figure I got a couple good years left in the tank to travel, sell the house, leave the money in a trust fund for my wife, and then she can have that with her next husband.
And I kind of believe some of that. I really do. I think that's, I kind of think that's your mentality. Not that it's going to happen, but I think that's your mentality. That's a certain mentality, and that's fine. I almost am jealous a little bit. I wish I had that mentality, but I don't. As much as, people think that I'm not spontaneous and I'm set in my ways and I'm what is, there's some truth to that, but there's also some not truth to that. Like I need change. I need to find different challenges. And whether I do it consciously or subconsciously, I find myself in that position fairly often. Like I get bored. Like, truth be told, as much as I loved my situation in Atlanta and, without saying the people, I love the people there, but the house and the situation, I needed a change. I was getting bored. And this was the change, not why, that's not the sole reason why I made this move, but this was the change. Obviously it didn't work out. So now I have to regroup and find another change. Who I'm really envious of is Brandon, because Brandon is so naive and so dumb to the world, where at 25, whatever happens, happens. He's not going to have an answer to that question I just asked you, Chuck, for another 5, 6, 7 years.
Well, I mean, right now he has a lot of change. I mean, he could sleep on the recliner tonight. He could sleep on the couch. Like he's got some crazy decisions to make. Am I gonna vacuum? I mean, there's a lot of things Brandon's dealing with that we just don't know about. It's personal, Brandon. You don't got to talk about it if you don't want to. But
will the power be on? Will I eat? These things. I'm envious of Brandon, for those reasons, where you just don't know where your next meal's coming from.
Who's gonna be the big spoon, me or August? Like
Yeah. An internal battle every day on what to do next.
But that's kind of, at your age, it's probably not as fun, right? Because the unknown is a little bit scary. Like you try to do everything you can to make your stamp. You had your business, you are trying this internet thing, but you're still not, I'm assuming, anywhere near where you want to be. And so that's a little scary, because then time's ticking. 25, 26, 27. I was terrified in my 20s, absolutely terrified, but I was too naive to know what being terrified was. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I guess that's a good thing then. I just keep living until something good happens or I die.
Yeah.
You need to find yourself a good woman. That's what you need, is a good woman.
Yeah, I don't know about
that.
Brandon,
There's a few out there. You just got to find an older woman, not geriatric, geriatric, but you need to find like a 35-year-old woman, man. That's already had 2 kids. Just get in there, take over, be the dad, and you'll be fine.
No, keep nailing the rats, man. Just keep nailing the rats, because there will come a time where you can't nail rats anymore. Just keep nailing the rats, and the rats don't nail after a certain age either. So, and they don't look the same. They turn. They just, I don't know what they become. They turn.
They turn.
That's why you see like those old guys or older guys that have made it, that have a lot of money. What are they doing? They're going back to their roots and nailing rats.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy though. Like
Creepy.
and I mean, I don't know what age it is, and maybe when a man hits a certain age, for some reason, MILFs become like their go-to. Like I could never, and maybe it's because I have daughters. I don't know. I don't find women in their 20s attractive. like I can say, yeah, she's pretty, but sexually, I don't find her attractive. And again, I don't know if it's because of my age. I don't know if it's because I have daughters, but when you see these guys, and there's a lot of them out there, right? Like, what's his name? Al Pacino. I think he's like in his 80s or something. I don't know, but he just had a kid. And you're like, and the girl is like smoking hot. And it's like, how do you sleep with somebody 50 years younger than you? That
Mhm.
is disgusting. The leather skin up against that beautiful, you know what I'm saying? I just can't do it. So yeah, Brandon, I'm changing my vote. Just go to Pound Town with the rats.
Nail the rats. Nail the rats.
Nail the rats.
Yeah. No, the age thing is real. I think a lot of it has to do with that if you have a daughter, right? I mean, I have a almost 19-year-old daughter and she's gorgeous, right? She would be the girl because she's legal that the old creepy guy would look at, right? So I look at that and it disgusts me, absolutely disgusts me, But then the flip side of that, when you're our age, you're what, 45, Chuck? I'm going to be 49 here in a couple of weeks. Is that you go, okay, well, maybe you look at a MILF, you'll look at a woman in her 40s or even early 50s, right? And find her attractive and then go, what am I doing right now? Because you don't look at yourself as that at that age. You're looking at that woman as if you were in your 20s. And a woman in her 40s and her 50s, you're like, oh God, that's disgusting, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think you had like like we all had the fantasy where, when you were like, I think I was like 20, I was like 21 and I was in California and I met this girl. Her name was Norma. And I met her at a bar.
Oof.
And I remember talking to her and she was older. And at that time, I thought she was ancient. She was 35. And she told me she had 2 kids. And I was like, man, this would be the greatest thing. I told all my buddies, I was like, you think I can get her to go home with me tonight? And they're like, oh, that'd be great. She did. And that was a awakening experience with Norma of 35. And at the time, 2 kids, 35 years old. I mean, that was game changing. So it's a fantasy, but it's not something you want to get into on a regular basis.
Yeah. If I would have given you any advice at that time, I would have said, her name is Norma. Walk away.
I didn't, back, I was in the 90s, man. Norma was a cool name.
Oh, Norma might have been a cool name in like the early 50s.
Okay, well, she was exotic. I think she was like part Hispanic, and she checked a lot of boxes for me.
Oh, Norma Gonzalez. Sorry, missed that one. What's that,
Yeah, there
Brandon?
you go.
The
Yeah,
only,
that's it.
the only Norma I know is my 95-year-old great aunt.
Well, and Norma Jean, of course. Marilyn Monroe, Norma Jean.
See, exotic.
No, see, early 50s.
Well,
Yeah,
she was Latino, so it changed it.
So I want to talk a little bit about this moving stuff and a couple things that have happened. I mean, by now I'm moving across country and all that good stuff. But first things first is the service of ADT sucks. I hate you. I will never, ever use ADT ever again. And I've used ADT for well over 20 years. ADT is so archaic in their way of thinking that it blows my mind. And ADT is a perfect example of cab companies and hotels. They are in the same archaic category as those two. And what I mean by that is Uber came along and showed the world how shitty cab companies are, and they changed the game. Airbnb, they came along and they showed how shitty hotels can be, and they changed the game, right? Ring has come along and changed the game and has shown how shitty ADT is. They've shown that you can go to Home Depot. Ring has shown that you can go to a Home Depot and for a couple $100 buy your own alarm system and within less than an hour install it fairly easily. I've done it before. Now, when I moved into this house in California, we decided to go with ADT just because it was easy. And I thought it was easy. And it was expensive, but I was like, it's a big house. I would need a lot of Ring. I'm lazy. I just didn't feel like doing it. But I used Ring when we had the cabin. I used Ring when we had the place up in Destin, or over in Destin. So ADT, I learned, and I forgot all about this, is that they're a contract company. And so if you try to cancel your ADT agreement before your contract is up, they hold you to the contract no matter what. You know, I told them I'm moving across country. I'm no longer living here. I've sold this house. What is the reason why you're moved, sir? This is very important if you ever try to get out of your ADT contract. Don't tell them the truth. And that's the other thing, is I'm a very truthful person. I'm just trying to tell them the truth. I say, hey, look, I got a job change. I did. Job change. Lost it. Got to get a different one. Have a different one. And I'm getting closer to family because my father-in-law had a heart attack and we have to go care for him. There's truth to that, right? Okay. Okay, sir. Well, that's not good enough. What do you mean that's not good enough? Those don't fit the criteria for you to get out of your contract. The only two things are like military and death. Those are the only two things. So they subscribe to the same theory as gyms used to subscribe to, right? And then what happened? The Planet Fitnesses came along. The 24-hour fitnesses came along. And they said, hey, look, no contract, dude. Just come in here, work out. If you like it, great. If not, just cancel. No big deal. ADT, you can lick my balls because now I have to get out of this contract. And I'm trying to figure out, even after going through Twitter and trying to plead my case, they're like, well, we'll shave off $100. If you can shave off $100, you can shave off the other $341. You know, just a dick move.
You got to pay
So I got
$400 a month for security.
What's that?
So it's $400 a month for security.
No, the remainder of the contract. So I get another two. Well, because we've only been in this house for a year, so it's like another year, and we pay like $54 a month for ADT, which is expensive. You know, I mean that in itself is expensive. So yeah, we pay $54 a month or something, and they want me to. I think what we're going to be able to do is transfer the service. That's another option. We'll be able to transfer the service to the new homeowners. I should know more about that any minute. And if that's the case, that's good. But they were just like that way of thinking is archaic. That's not today. Today is memberships. Today is monthly fees. Today is, you know, you come, you go. Today is on demand. Today is all about the customer and the customer being able to make those decisions. It is up to you to keep that customer, not for.
So there is a third way to get out of your ADT contract. So in 2009, and I'm so glad you brought up ADT. I freaking hate ADT, man. It is the bane of my existence, and I hated them for 2 years of my life. I was going to go burn that place to the ground. In 2009, I got them when I moved to Washington, D.C., because I knew I was going to be working a lot, and I wanted Meg to be, you know, taken care of, whatever. We were newly married. So I get it. And they hook it up, and the guy hooks it up, and he's like, all right, so this is your code. This is how it works. This is what you need to do. And I'm like, oh, great, man. This thing is legit, right? So I go to work. I'm working late hours. I mean, Megan's home alone, but we had that self-confidence, like ADTs, you know, we got the alarm. So like 6 months later, I've been paying my bill, dude, paying my bill for 6 months. We're in bed one night. Huge storm comes through. Apparently, Megan had set the alarm and didn't lock the door. The front door flies open. Huge storm, winds blowing. I grab my gun. I'm going through the house, clearing it. You're right. Just going around like any guy would. And I'm like, what the hell? So the alarm is blaring. The alarm's going off. I'm freaking out, but it takes me, and I don't know about you guys, but it takes a solid, 10 minutes to really clear your house because you're looking under bed, you're going in closets, whatever. So after 10 minutes, I'm like, okay, I'm trying to turn off the alarm. I finally get the alarm off, and I'm like, well, the cops should be here any second. Nothing. 20 minutes goes by. Nothing. So I'm getting kind of pissed off at this point. Like, why, I'm getting raped. I could be getting raped right now, and ADT doesn't care. So I call them. It's like 1 a.m. I'm like, hey, man, like my alarm went off 30 minutes ago. You guys know there's no response, no phone call. And they're like, hold on, we're looking in the system. It appears that there was an issue with your connection. So the dude shows up and he goes, where's your home phone line? I said, I don't have a home phone line. And he goes, oh, sir, ADT does not work without home phone. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, dude, I've been paying for this for 6 months, having this like security that, my family wasn't going to get murdered. And you clowns didn't tell me I needed a home phone. You didn't that wasn't the first thing you checked. Like, boop, boop, boop. Oh, yep, got a dial tone. You're safe. So I started arguing with them. And what ultimately got me out of the contract was the response time. They said, well, because we weren't able to provide a response that we promised you, we're going to let you out of your contract. So what you need to do is set off the alarm and just sit outside, videotape it, and just wait until you get a response from the police. Don't answer your phone when ADT calls. Let the cavalry arrive and just sit there and be like, oh, 9 minutes. I got murdered 4 times in that time. And you're good. You're out of your contract.
Brandon, I don't know if you heard what I heard, but I'm supposed to fabricate a storm and the door is supposed to fly open. I'm supposed to sit outside in this fabricated storm and, as Chuck would say, videotape and wait for no one to show up because I've got all of that time. And let's not forget to mention that this happened in 2009, where the systems have been upgraded, where you don't need a home phone anymore because it's all through cellular service.
I'm giving you options, man. You're not taking them.
There are horrible options.
I mean, you could. I'm just saying, I think the response time, I guarantee you ADT does not care about the setup. They just care about the money. So how many people do you know have actually had responses from ADT? I would love to know the numbers there because I guarantee you it's not as fast as people think.
Okay.
My dad's got ADT at his house, but he only has it just for apparently you get better on your home insurance. Never turn it on though.
Yeah, you get a discount on your home insurance if you've got any security service. So yeah. And like if you get Ring service, you have to make sure that if you put a Ring, because we'll do a Ring alarm in this next house, there's an option where you have to, it might not be for every place that you live, but where we had it up at the cabin in Mineral Bluff, where the men and sheep are scared. Like we had to make sure that the local police department knew we had the security service. So there was like a certificate and you had to tie it in, and it was kind of a thing. So maybe not in a metro area, where they just automatically pick it up. And that probably has changed now too. But what is that beeping sound? Does anybody know? Is that a hearing?
Yeah, I thought it was here, but it's not here.
No, it sounds like a hearing aid or something. I'm sure it's on Chuck's side of things.
Yeah, because it magically stopped.
Whatever. Why is it always on Chuck's side? It's always on Chuck's side.
Because when you mute, mute. Yep, there it is. It's on Chuck's side. Because when you mute, it goes away. So can you check your hearing aid and turn it off, please, if you don't mind? So so that was the other thing. That was one of the things for the moving. The other thing is bartering. So a couple episodes back, I talked about finding this guy, Michael, that when we moved in, I hired him. We did pods across country. We're doing pods back across country. And then within the pod, like pods are great. These people are fantastic. There might be a cheaper service out there, but this girl, Christina, that I deal with, she's out of Tampa, and she is just the sweetest, most helpful person I've ever spoken to with any business. She's great. And I go to pods solely because of her. And so after they're done, after you schedule your pods and whatnot, they're like, you can go to the website. Are there any other services you need? Car service. Well, we do need a car service. So we've got to ship 2 vehicles across country. They've got that. They'll give you a nice little discount. It was great. They gave me actually a big discount. They gave me $400 off shipping my cars across country. $400 is a lot of money. All right. That was cool. Then you can go to like hire movers. So you can go on their website, and it goes to these third-party websites through pods. They know you're coming through pods. So you might get a little bit of a discount, and you get some guys to help you move the stuff. So I found this dude, Michael, and he's just straight up good dude. And his buddy, who I call Mute, because I don't know if he knows how to talk. If he can, he doesn't do it well or often. So he just kind of gets bossed around by Michael, and they work their asses off and they get shit done pretty quick. And so I lost his number, and then I finally found it. I went through my texts through a year. By the way, have you ever done that? Have you ever gone through your phone and just gone, like, say you're looking for something from a year ago, and then you get sucked into the rabbit hole of starting to read messages from a year ago? You ever done that?
You start to get pissed off at people all over again. Like from 11 months, you're like, what a dick, and then you get back into it. You're like, remember when you sent me this text? Well, F you. And they're like, what? Who is this?
Yeah. Well, there was one text thread in particular that, it did piss me off. I was just like, oh, that was the text that got me here. I was like, oh my God, just if I were to release this thread, oh my God, if I Antonio Browned this person, there would not be a good place for this person. They would be in a different situation than they're in now. I can say that. So I find his information. I get a hold of him. He helped me move for the first run of the 2 pods, and he is coming back for the second of the 2 pods and whatnot. And it's pretty. I think it's a reasonable price what I pay these guys an hour. I pay them $200 an hour, so it's 100 a piece. They're here for however much time, and they get the job done. And it's obviously a lot faster than when I'm doing it, or that I could do it. So I was like, well, how can I save some money? And so I said to him, I said, hey, Michael, we're downsizing. So if you see anything that's of interest to you, let me know. And he's like, well, Mr. Jason, what do you got? You got anything in particular you want to show me? I've had this old mail bin filled with 2 large watch boxes of old watches for years. I used to be a big watch guy. Like I used to buy a new watch a week, when the big thick watches were a thing, right?
The tag hewers.
No, they're not as nice as Tag, but they're like the Bulova and those types of watches. And they're still like $300, $400 watches, but I don't wear them anymore. Just because I have my Apple Watch, so I don't wear them anymore. So a couple of times I tried to sell them online, and I pieced a couple out. I wanted to sell all of them at one time, so I showed him the watches, and he's like, "Well, I just bought a $30,000 Rolex." That's the economy difference in California, right? Is like the guy's a mover. He shows up and looks like a bumper car, from a fair, and he just bought a $30,000 Rolex. Like, oh, business must be.
Now, did he pay 30,000 for it, or was it like a valued at 30,000, but he got it for like 1,000 because it was hot?
I don't know the answer to that question, Chuck. For all I know, it's a $30,000 watch that he took from his last job moving somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just did it when nobody's looking.
He does not have that accent. I can tell you that right now. So I was like, look through this. He's like, man, these are nice. These are real nice. Real nice. What do you want for these? And I was like, well, I'd like to get rid of all of them. And so I'll cut you a deal. I was like, and you don't have to pay me anything. Just shave it off the price. And he's like, all right, well, what are you thinking? And I'm like, $500, which is a steal, by the way. He can turn around and resell those for a lot more. And he's like, really? $500? He's like, take $450. I'm like, no. I go, that's $50. I go, and we're not even exchanging money. It's just knocking it off the price. It doesn't even make any sense. And he's like, come on, man. I was like, you could probably turn around and flip this for 4 times what you're bartering for right now. He's like, all right, I'll take it. So I gave him all the watches. So I felt like I won, right? I shaved off $500. $500 is a lot of money. Shaved off $500 from the move. And then he's got to come back, right, and do some more. So now I'm looking around the house, and there's not much left out. I'm like, what can I barter? What can I, just in order to get the price of the move down, like to pay, because I'm paying him in cash. And by the way, the cash that I'm paying him, it's my bankroll from poker. It's all my winnings. So I'm just paying him the cash that I would take to the casino. So I'm like, if I could have a little bit left before I leave this state and I could go back to the casino, I was like, I'll make out like a bandit. So bartering, and I like that stuff. I like negotiating. I like haggling. I like bartering. I like that kind of stuff. So I'm trying to think of something else. I don't know if you guys can think of it.
Do you have a box of like things that you refuse to get rid of? Like every time we move, we would have, and I don't know if you've ever done a garage sale lately, but crazy people will show up at your house at 6 a.m. and knock on your door and be like, hey, can I walk through the garage? And you're like, okay, crazy. I've had people come into my house and they're like, how much for the guitar? I'm like, oh, it's not for sale. How much for the amp? Oh, it's not for sale. And they're like, everything's for sale. So is there like a box of stuff that you're like, look, dude, I can't get rid of it? Because I think, I've seen when you had the old studio in Roswell, that stuff, you had some sexy stuff in there, like especially with, merch and autograph memorabilia, things like that. Is that all on the table?
No, that's all packed up, so that's the problem right now. I mean, the only thing that is really out are non-perishable food items and my studio stuff. So yeah.
Do you have the Chuck Norris autograph I gave you readily available?
I don't, but I do have that still. Yeah.
That would get you probably a whole day free.
To be honest, to be honest with you, I don't know what this guy. You know,
Oh.
maybe if it was Chuck D. I don't know if he can.
Yeah, you're like, hey man, you want a Chuck Norris autograph? And he's like, who's Chuck Norris, man? Who's Chuck Norris?
Chuck, the master of impressions. Let me tell you.
Better than Brandon. Who's Chuck Norris? I do not know this Chuck Norris.
Well, I got confused because Chuck's Indian ADT guy was talking earlier, so I thought
He
we were
was. He
talking
was.
about the same guy.
Oh, you do not have a telephone line. You're stupid. You know, like, yeah, that guy is not the same mover that Jason is using.
Yeah, I
Hopefully.
just imagine that guy got fired from ADT for terrible response time. Maybe became a mover in California.
Just for the record, I've had ADT installed a couple times. Again, I hate you, ADT, but I've never had that guy that Iron Fist is doing.
I got him fired.
It's something interesting that I did notice. So companies do realize that the customer service representative that you can't understand, which drives me insane. Like the outsourcing of customer service has to change as well. The idea of customer service is to help the customer. If the customer doesn't understand a word coming out of the mouth of the person you're talking to, that's bad from the beginning. And all it does is frustrates. Like if I were in India, I would not want a customer service representative from America, right? I want somebody, if I go to get sushi, I don't want an American serving me sushi. I want a Japanese person selling me sushi. I want to barely understand them. I want them to be as authentic as possible. If I go to a Mexican restaurant, I want to practice my Spanish. I don't want an American serving me Mexican food. If I call customer service as an American, I want somebody that speaks English to help me out. I think that's fair. I don't think that's racist. I would think in other countries, you would want the same thing. It's just so you can communicate better. I know that we all live in this really weird, false world that everybody's the same. That's not true. There are differences. That's what makes us unique. There are the differences. Anyway, so I noticed this is that the first level of talking to somebody with ADT barely understand. You know, I'm talking to Susan when you know damn well her name's not Susan. And then when it gets to the point where you want to cancel, then you get to the guy that's an English professor, you know, and that's all you got to say with any company. I want to cancel. And you will find somebody that is, well, sir, is there anything that we could do to change your mind? Speaks like Morgan Freeman, right? You know, very well, you know, every word is crisp, you know, that kind of thing. So they know. So if you ever want to talk to somebody that speaks English, just go up there. So,
well, they got back in trouble back in the day for having all those call centers, and now they can just call them diversity hires.
Is that what the deal is?
I think so, because they were under fire for outsourcing and paying them like $1.25 an hour to answer phones, but now it's okay.
Did you ever see that? I think it was like a 60 Minutes maybe, where they dove into the customer service and they had like hidden cameras in training, and the guy would go up and he's like, hello, my name is Steven. But his real name was like Stephanus Niski or something, you know. But they're like giving them all, you know, just Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John names, you know, so we can relate. It's like, so when these people call me, if I get a cold call from them, they're like, hello, my name is Steven. I'm like, no, it's not. That's the first thing I say to him. He's like, yes, it's Steven. I'm like, we can't start off this conversation, whatever it is that you're about to tell me. And I really want to hear it. And I want to help you out. But we can't start off this relationship with a lie. That you've just started this relationship off with a lie. We both know your name is not Steven. So you tell me your real name, and then I will let you continue to pitch me whatever it is that you want to pitch me. My name is, look, I'm giving you 5 seconds. I'm going to count it down. My name is Steven.
That turned into a special needs hire real quick. My name is Steven. It's like, no, it's not. No, it's not. Tell me your real name. No, my name is Steven.
Who are you working for?
Most unpolitically correct podcast, right? You know. It's funny. I was talking to somebody about I got a really nice compliment on this podcast from somebody, and they gave an analogy or a comparison to a very popular radio show that's in syndication. And this person, I don't know this person. I've heard bits and pieces of their show, but I guess we have very similar styles, and they said, your podcast is better than that show. And I said, well, thank you very much. Not that I'm pounding my chest or anything like that, but I was just like, that's a compliment to say that, because that show is extremely successful. That man makes a lot of money, and that man is in a lot of different markets, but yet he's got to follow the rules of radio. And the caveat to the compliment was, but you get to do you get to talk like a guy. You get to talk like we used to be able to talk on the radio. And now in radio, when you try to do a show, a guy show that women love to listen to, as I coined the BS, and I have for years, is that you just feel like you're walking on eggshells. And then the second you step out of the studio after saying something, whatever, you're like, you've got to be careful. There are people out there. And what essentially that person who's telling you this is saying is it's them that had a problem with it, or somebody that they know, or somebody in-house that has a problem with it. It's not the people, right? They don't give a damn. Get a complaint. It's one person, and all the walls come down, because one person complained. Those types of that, and that's the problem. One of the other problems with radio is that the one person in charge usually has never sat in this chair. So they don't know creative. They don't know how to do a radio show. They can claim they do because of the years of sitting in their chair, but they have no idea what it's like to put on a 4-hour radio show live with new content 5 days a week. Not a clue, but they think they do because they've always wanted to do it. And they're jealous of you. So they try to control you to have you do what they want to do, so they feel they can live vicariously through you on the microphone. And that's the problem. But when this compliment came through, I was like, that's very nice. That's very sweet. So I have high hopes for the future of this show, boys. That's what I'm saying. That was my point.
Is it Kelly Clarkson?
What's Kelly Clarkson?
Was that
Stupid.
her show?
No, I said a guy in a radio show.
Oh, well, she does that show with Mark, I think. Mark and Kelly, or Kelly and Mark in the mornings.
Billy Ripa?
Oh yeah, not Clarkson. Yeah, she's the one that did it with Regis, right?
Brennan, what are you talking about?
Dude, out of all the dumb polls, that was the dumbest. Like, he could have said like Howard Stern. He could have said any of these big radio shows, but he's like, Kelly Clarkson. We're just like Kelly Clarkson. Like, that's exactly what we got going on here. What the fuck?
Well, I don't even think he knows what he said. That's the problem. Like, I just think he talked. Like some people just say words.
I'm a little out of it today. I think I was talking about the chick from Regis and Kelly that's now Kelly and Mark, but I don't think that's a radio show now that I think about it.
No,
Feels like
hot
a
dog.
radio show.
Hot dog. Hot dog.
Yeah. You need to say, are you okay? Did you have a long night last night?
Nah, I just been feeling weird today. Maybe that was the last one getting it out.
No, I doubt that. I think you got a full 20 some more hours of it, to be honest, or a lifetime, to be honest. It's okay. Did me talking about your future get you a little rattled?
No, I don't know. Just Kelly Clarkson popped in my head. I thought it'd be something good to continue the conversation. It was worth a shot, until it wasn't.
So you were just trying to participate.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And that's exactly what it was. Like, he was sitting there and you got done with your statement and he's just like, fuck it, I'm going to throw it out there. Kelly Clarkson. Okay.
And it's like, this is my big chance to make a mark on today's episode. Kelly Clarkson. It's almost like you didn't hear anything I said. I was talking about radio shows, syndication, guy.
Dude, You were talking about this whole like beautiful, you had this whole beautiful story about the compliment and and you laid out so many little Easter eggs about what it was really about. And in no way, shape, or form was Kelly Clarkson ever a part of that. And we are all dumber for having heard it. But I love it.
I'm not beating you up, Brandon. I just think you might have had a stroke.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I kind of blacked out there for a second.
It's like your heart stopped and you came back, and the first thought was Kelly Clarkson, like Steve Corrupt and 40-year-old virgin. Okay. Well, I guess for the remainder of this episode, we can look forward to Brandon throwing out some different names from past American Idol winners, maybe, possibly. I don't know.
Clay Aiken should be the next
Keyword
one.
notes.
Yeah, right. Clay Aiken. Philip Phillips, you know. Bo Bice. I can't help you after that. I'm done after that. I got my UCF hashtag charge on hashtag national champions gold knights. I got my UCF magazine. They send this out monthly. And for my friends at my alma mater, the University of Central Florida, the largest by population school in the country, I've got to tell you, I know you mean well when you put this in at the end of the magazine, but it has reverse effects on a lot of people. I assume a lot of people. I know it does me. There's a section at the end of this magazine, which is my favorite section. It used to be my favorite section. The older I get, it becomes my less favorite section. And it's called Class Notes. And it talks about people that have graduated from the University of Central Florida and the successes that they have. And when I read through these, it makes me very, very sad about my life.
Are you in it? Tell me you're in it.
No, I've never been in this.
Oh, I was hoping it was like, Jason Bailey was fired. he's now doing a podcast. You can check it out.
No, but listen,
one of his co-hosts has 100 followers.
Yeah, like listen to some of these. This guy that graduated in 92. So I graduated in 97. So this guy graduated in 92. Andrew, a U.S. public delegate to the United Nations, a part of the U.S. government interagency effort working to combat this and this, that. He assisted with the first U.S. national strategy to counter. I mean, this is a big guy. This is a big deal, right? I mean, that's an accomplishment. That is something. 1998, another guy, Andrew, received a patent for extended laser active ranging system, method and computer readable program product. I can't even read it, right? And this guy did it. He is a senior electrical design engineer for Lockheed Martin. These guys have accomplished some stuff, man. I mean, this is just two. Thomas, graduated in 1988, received a Global Book Award in the noir category for his book, The Outgoing. Dude wrote a book and got an award for it.
Is there any like Roy is a plumber in Idaho? Or do they just not care about that?
Let me see if I can quickly
find us like a real human. Like find us somebody that actually didn't overachieve, like they underachieved, but they still put them in the book.
Okay. John, he's a senior tax associate with Keys, Stange, and Wooten Wealth Management in Daytona. That's an accomplishment. Medical. Yeah, here we go. Becky, 2004, is an office administrator for Blount County Habitat for Humanity in Tennessee.
There we go. They had to bring the girl in just for diversity. They had to meet the quota. They're like, well, do we have any girls that have done anything? Yeah, Becky. She's a secretary. Like, yeah. Okay, cool. We'll put her in there.
Becky got a gig as a secretary and gets in there. All right. Thank you, Becky.
Got Kelly Clarkson on there as a popular radio host.
Yeah, these people have all like they're releasing movies. Is there any there's nobody from my grade, my year. Like 1997 is always left out because I think 1997 was a bad year for UCF.
All the dumb dumbs graduated that year.
Like even if you go to like something recent, let's say 2020. Well, here we go. Okay, all right. 2023. Jennifer is a cruise consultant for Silver Sea Cruises. Who cares? But then, Jennifer's followed up with Lauren, who climbed 17,600 feet to Mount Everest South Base Camp.
Oh my God. How have you not made the book, man? I mean, you've
Me?
done some stuff in your career.
I climbed 1,000 feet elevation up the street in Auburn, California.
I mean, no, but like when you were on shows, popular shows, you never made the magazine ever?
I am on a popular show, Chuck. It's called the BS the Bailey Show,
I mean,
which is followed
you've
by
had
Kelly Clarkson.
accomplishments. You've had accomplishments. You've never made that magazine.
No, never made the magazine.
Oh, that's a travesty, man.
Roxana is the owner of Henley's House and Pet Sitting LLC. So she started a business. Good for her. Yeah.
She's sitting in her basement with a bunch of random dogs reading that like that's made the paper.
Yeah, she just collects cats. She's like, "Oh yeah, man, I made it. They put me in the magazine."
So do you think these are beefed up? The wording definitely beefed up, right? Okay, so if that's the case, then how would my name be put in there to make me seem like I've done something in my life? How would you?
I guarantee you that's just people that have submitted it. So you need to submit, like if they're looking for content, right? So they have to put that magazine out. I'm guessing it's quarterly because they probably don't have enough to put it out monthly. So you probably just need to put together a really beefed up paragraph about how amazing you are and totally lie, and give it to them. And that way you'll make the magazine and we can read about it. It'll be funny.
Well, who would I go to? I mean, there's only one person I can think of that would be best as a wordsmith to put in writing my accomplishments. B-Man, Brennan Thrash, go. How would you word it in the UCF magazine, the accomplishments of Jason Bailey?
Jason Bailey, radio or not, he switches. He does radio and then he does a podcast. He's got 2 kids and a wife that he loves. Sometimes he gets mad and might be hard to work with. Go Knights.
I don't even think you'd make a community college with that.
Well, thanks for putting me over, buddy. I appreciate that. I want my fellow UCF Knights to see that. Thank you. I appreciate that.
I'm in a little of a slump today. I'll get back to you with something a little more thoughtful.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, work on that. If even if you have to use a computer and change the words and stuff, use AI. That wouldn't be a bad thing. Morgan is a virtual medical scribe. I don't even know what that is. What is a scribe? What is a medical scribe?
It's a note taker,
Write
right?
Stuff down, yeah.
Oh, okay. He's a scribe.
She beat you out for the.
She beat you and she
magazine
takes
spot.
notes. Yeah.
The pet sitting person beat me out. The lady that became a secretary beats me out.
Cruise consultant. What?
The
What do
cruise
you need to be consultant about on a cruise? It's
She
a
just
big
points
boat.
people in the right direction and tells them when the emergency evacuation drill is going to happen.
So we're all gonna be on a big boat with each other. There's gonna be stuff to do. That's about it.
mustard station. Here's the mustard station. That's where you go. This guy from 1971 is commissioner and mayor pro tem for Cornelius, North Carolina. This guy retired. This guy's a dean of men. Oh, what a great title.
A dean of men?
This guy that graduated UCF in 1991, the magazine reads, Brad is a dean of men at Pensacola Christian College in Florida. I don't know if that sounds extremely or if that sounds manly.
Well, yeah, he obviously didn't write it. Like he had one of his buddies write it and they were like, let's see if we can get you in. And they just said, let's say you're a dean of men, and they accepted it. So now that just proves the point. You can be anything you want to be. So you got to come up with something really sexy, Brandon. Something really sexy, a title for him.
I want a dean.
Podcaster extraordinaire,
Jason Bailey on the heels of Kelly Clarkson.
Listen to episode 189, just so you know what we're talking about.
Closing in on her.
I got to tell you, I've never heard that term before. A dean of men. That's nice.
It's
Maybe
like a leader, right? Just a leader.
yeah, maybe I'll become a pimp. I'll be the dean of women.
It's like the owner of a gay strip club or something.
Right. Or yeah, like it can go both ways. Like literally, it could one way it could be like, what are you doing with all these men? And the other way you could be like, that's badass. You're the leader in the locker room. You're the dean of men. Like if I were a football player, it'd be like, Jason Bailey, number 54, defensive end for the Washington Commanders. He's the dean of men on the field. That's pretty badass.
That is badass.
The mean dean of men. Oh, there you go. Mean dean of men.
You just got to put the right walkout music with it, right? Like if you put out something like, AC/DC, Metallica, it works. But if like as soon as they say it, if it's like it's raining men, hallelujah, it's raining, then you're obviously just a pole smoker.
So
Which is okay.
I can't come out with Kelly Clarkson music.
Yeah, you can do that. She has that one strong song, right? Is it
Yeah,
Stronger or something?
we're hearing Reba did it together. Talking about
It's
falling
something.
off the
It's something
sidewalk.
motivational.
Oh my God. Anything Kelly Clarkson sings is amazing. I'm a huge Kelly Clarkson mark. I love Kelly Clarkson. I love her television show. I love Kelly Clarkson. She is awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Like I'm such a fan, whether big Kelly or smaller Kelly. I think she is beautiful either way, however she wants to live her life. She seems so sweet. I've never met the girl. But I tell you, if I had a hall pass in my relationship, it would be with Kelly Clarkson. Hands down.
That would be the one you'd choose. You'd choose Kelly Clarkson over anybody else.
I would. Yes, absolutely I would.
That's
That
a
or
fail.
Maureen Morris.
She's kind of weird.
Do you know her?
Anna De
Well, I
Armas.
mean, she's always trying to. Whoa, which one did you say?
Anna De Armas.
Is she the one that played Marilyn Monroe?
She was
Yeah.
chicken war dogs.
Yeah, and then she took over the Marilyn Monroe, and it was like NC-17 is what they rated it, and they were kind of accurate on that. But mine is Alexandra Daddario.
How do we not know how to say the names of our hall passes?
Yeah, you have no chance when you meet them, and you're like, Miss Daddario. My wife said I can sleep with you. Like you've already lost.
Yeah.
But
My claim to fame was when I was younger, when I first got into this business, the show that I started on, Doc and Johnny on XL 1067 in Orlando. Now it's just Johnny's house, but they interviewed, and I was a intern / producer at the time, and they they interviewed Jennifer Love Hewitt for, I believe, the first I Know What You Did Last Summer, and they knew I had a huge crush on her. So when she came on, I had like 3 seconds of airtime, and I didn't talk much, on their show. And I was like, I just want to say I love you. And
did you meet her in person or was it over the phone?
It was over the phone. She was like, I love you too. I still have somewhere in my box of cassettes, I have all these old air checks of cassettes. I was like, how do I I think that was the first one I ever got. I was like, how do I get that? How do I dub that off? And I have Jennifer Love Hewitt saying, I love you too. Or I think she even said, I love you, Buckethead. So she did the whole thing. I was like, oh my God. Like I'm hooked on radio now. If I'm going to get that, I'm hooked on radio.
Yeah. I mean, speaking, it's like when you're talking about MILFs, like she would be the perfect example, right? I mean, she's got to be in her 40s. I don't think she's in her 50s yet.
She's probably about my
and she's still smoking hot. Like she was in that mini series. I don't know if you saw it, about the Texas masseuse that was having sex or doing something with. She was essentially like a prostitute for like rub and tugs, but it was a whole show about her. And dude, she was hotter than she's ever been. So yeah, I mean, Jennifer Love Hewitt, she'd be top 10 probably.
Well, I kind of got to live when Rich Cronin was still alive, rest in peace, from what was the band they're in? The band. Look it up real quick. God, I just lost it. Anyway, the boy band from back in the day. And Rich and Jennifer dated. That's where the song Girl on TV came from or whatever, and she's in the video. And so when Rich would be in town, when he wasn't touring, I hung out with his brother more because he worked for Transcon, which was the company all these boy bands were under with Lou Pearlman. And so I lived vicariously. Not that he came home and bragged about their sexual encounters, but I was like, can I just rub up against you? I was like, how's Jennifer doing? I'm actually hanging out and talking to somebody that's dating my crush right now. It's like, oh,
did he ever talk about anything at all? Like, did he ever say like, oh yeah, she never wears underwear or something like that?
No, he was a gentleman. You know, he never, you know, it was a couple times of just the fellas drinking, you know, there was a place called Chillers and we'd stand out, you know, out on the bar, little thing and talk about it. He would never say it. I'd never pressure him to do that. That's even at that day, even at that day and age and that age, I was still had a little bit of class to me, had a little bit of class to me. Not much, but a little bit of class to me. And then you get into this magazine, you know, people that have died. And that makes me sad, especially when you find people that, you know, went to UCF and graduated in or around the year I graduated, again, 97, that died. Thank God. Well, actually, no, that's not true. They have a guy here that was 92 that just died recently. He was, it doesn't say how he died, but I mean, he worked like with the space shuttle and he did a lot of stuff with NASA. It was a pretty good deal. Then there was an older gentleman that died just recently too. I don't even think he went to UCF, but he played a role in the UCF athletics and stuff like that. But sometimes you'll get it and you'll be like, oh my God, you know, I didn't know that person, but they graduated the same year I graduated and they died. You know, that's the only way I'm going to get into this magazine.
But they never tell you how they died.
No one ever does. Facebook doesn't either. No one ever says a thing.
It's terrible.
The only way I'll get into the UCF magazine is not because of my accolades. It'll be because I died. That's the only way I'll get into the University of Central Florida magazine is they'll have a Jason Bailey, class of 97, died, and then they'll have to list my accolades, and it'll be very, very short, and it won't compare to the page before of the class notes of all the successful UCF people that are cruise consultants, that are the dean of men, that are launching spaceships, that are developing lasers and movies and writing books. It's going to read Jason Bailey, class 1997, died. He was not that old and did a podcast. That's how it's going to read.
You're going to go to print it out and be like, all right, we got one more spot. We got Jason Bailey or we got the pet iguana from biology class. Be like, yeah, what you guys want? Like, oh, he didn't make it. Sorry, Jason. Maybe next.
Got to give some tribute to Earl. Earl the pet iguana, man. He was a good one.
Yeah, they're not even going to, with no thought, put me in this magazine. They're going to have to decide whether that last slot should have go to this Jason Bailey podcaster, ex-radio guy, or to the iguana from science class. Can we see a hand? Can we see a show of hands? That's what I thought. The iguana wins. All right, you guys ready for Everything's Better with Fuck? Yeah, here we go.
Whatever we do, it's better with
What?
everything's better with the.
All right, so the Everything's Better with Fuck edition. Again, the concept is if the word fuck, which is the most powerful word in the English language, is used properly, it can change the game, usually for the better. So what I do on a weekly basis is I take movie lines and I insert the word fuck strategically and fairly well. These guys, Brandon and Chuck, have to, and they'll get a point each if they can tell me the movie and the year, and or the year, you get a point for each. So this edition of Everything's Better with Fuck is the best sports lines in movies. All right, sports lines in movies. The reason being is because yesterday's episode, we talked about the roast of Tom Brady, got around talking about that. So I figured I would do sportsy types of movies. Are you ready, Brandon?
Yes.
Kelly Clarkson, I will tell you, is not an answer. Okay. Chuck, are you ready?
Ready for a clean sweep again.
All right. Yeah, you did. All right, here we go.
And prove to everyone out there that even though you're fucked up, somebody. Are you ready to go out there and fuck what's yours? What you worked hard for? Are you ready to fuck the Mustang Challenge?
Remember
Friday
the
Night
Titans?
Lights.
I'm sorry, you both went. Brandon, what'd you say?
Remember the Titans?
No. Chuck?
Friday Night Lights.
No.
Oh, gotta be football.
Coach Carter.
That was a white guy talking.
The Way Back.
The Replacements?
It's the Mustangs. The Mustangs.
Yes. I was hoping you didn't pick up on that.
Man, I feel so bad about saying this. Does it have to do with the people that have special needs that are being coached?
Special
Okay, good.
Olympics. Oh,
No.
Mustangs. Oh, Blue Mountain State.
We are Marshall. It's not Hoosiers. Hoosiers?
Not basketball.
Not basketball.
Got the turn back.
Want
I
to
feel like we've went through every sports movie.
All right, here's a clue. If you were to look at Chuck's wife's left hand, it might help you with the answer.
Meg hand. Mega. Mega.
Yes, the Donald Trump sports movie. Yes.
Megalodon?
I said again, these are clues. You have to get better at my clue.
Okay. Something with the ring.
What is she wearing? She's wearing a
ring.
Wedding crashers.
The ring. The ring.
You call
A
that
ring.
What is another name for that
The
ring?
diamond rock. The engagement. The diamond in the rough.
No,
Diamond talkers.
you had the clue. You had the clue. You just said the clue.
Engagement.
Nope.
Previously engaged.
Nope.
The dime a dozen.
No.
Oh, the diamond dozen.
If you were at a party and you were listening to music, the DJ could help you with the answer.
The diamond jewels.
Love and
Diamond
Basketball.
It's not a basketball movie.
Oh,
You said it now fucking 3 times.
White man can't.
You guys are horrible at clues.
it's football.
The
It's based out
diamond-
of Texas. It's based out of Texas.
What do you play football on?
The diamond field. The diamond turf.
Field.
Field of diamonds. Field of dreams. No, that's baseball.
Grass. Turf.
Is it called?
Turf monsters. The
Sounds like a porn.
pitch.
Field engagement.
How do you guys, you've already said the clue. I gave you another clue with pretty much the answer.
Rock field.
What?
Rock field.
Nope, not field.
The rock cook. The rock.
The rock. Oh,
The
oh my
rock
God.
cook.
It's one with the kid. It's one with the little kid.
The rock
Hold
and
on.
roll.
She bedazzles the football. Oh my God.
The
Oh my
rock
God,
wizard.
what's his name?
The rock.
Okay, I got this.
So the actor is who?
It's the Rock. It's the Rock.
Yep.
It's the Rock, and he's got the daughter that he didn't know about, and she lives with him.
No.
Oh,
no.
oh, is it hockey? When he's a hockey player?
No, he's football. He's a quarterback.
Oh,
You guys are not going to get this, I guess. The Rock and Gridiron Gang.
oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, I never would have got that.
It's a great movie
2002.
based on a true story. Okay, so give me the year.
2002.
2005. 2007. 2010.
Why do you guys always skip over the right ones?
2009.
2008.
2006.
There you go. Jesus. 2005, 2007, 2008. I know it's not 2006. Why would I go in order? It doesn't make any sense. I mean, I'm going in order, but why would I go in real order? I need to skip 1 year every time. Jesus.
I'm vectoring. I'm just like dropping the battleship, dude. Like you never go A1, A2, A3.
Oh.
You got a vector.
So actually, you know what, Chuck? I'm only going to give you one, and Brandon, I'll give you one. And I'm going to take off 12 from each of you because
Why does Brandon get one?
he said rock.
That was
That doesn't
close.
mean anything. The game's Gridiron Gang. The movie's Gridiron Gang.
Yeah, but I said, who's the actor? He said the rock. Did you not get the diamond is called a rock? And,
Yeah, I got that.
and the DJ, Dwayne Johnson, can help you out. Jesus. All right, here we go. Next clip.
It's real simple. You got 2 more quarters and that's it. Not about
Fucking.
It's about you and your relationship to yourself and your family and your friends. Being perfect is about being able to look your friends in the eye and know that you didn't
Fucking.
let them down.
You didn't fucking let them down.
Billy Bob Thornton.
There you go. Boom.
Feel that.
All
Wait,
right.
And
we're
I'm
getting
going to go with
that
Friday
now?
Night Lights again.
Friday Night Lights is correct. Year.
Oh,
I'm going to say 2005.
95,
2004.
99.
2004. There you go.
Wait, so we get points for the actors now?
Yeah. I mean,
What?
rules change every day. Rules are always
You
changing.
got a point for The Rock.
Yeah. What are you bitching about? You got a point for the Rock. At least you're on the board. Last week, I don't think you were even on the board.
He wasn't.
All right. Here you go. Last one.
The only one gonna tell me when I'm through doing my thing is you people here. You know, if you
Fuck.
hard
Fuck.
and you burn the candle with both ends, you pay the price. You people here are the ones who are worth bringing it for. Because you're not bringing it.
All right.
We are Marshall.
Robert Duvall.
Roger Goodell. Remember the title.
Hoosiers. I'm saying Hoosiers again.
Not any of the big four as far as sports go.
So it's hockey.
No.
Gotta be cricket.
I think you should know the answer. Know the
Mickey Mouse.
What?
Mickey Mouse.
Who's the actor?
Oh, Mickey Mantle. Oh, Mickey
Mickey
Towers.
Rourke.
There you go. Mickey Rourke.
What's that?
And who's that? What are you talking about? Who's that?
The wrestler.
Oh, see, I'm fucked on this.
The year?
2005,
2004. 2013.
2011,
2014.
Oh, you're too high.
2010,
2009.
2008.
There you go.
2002.
Damn. All right. With a score of 430-3, Chuck wins.
Again.
It's close. Closer one. Oh, hit the Mickey Rourke. You would have got that like a peppermint patty.
I know. We're
You
all
said Mickey. You said Mickey Mouse, and Jason's like, "Oh yeah, yeah," and I'm like, "What the hell?" All right,
that
Mickey
was
Rourke.
Mickey Mouse. Mickey was a clue. That's what you get. I know, Brandon, just because you might not know something of pop culture is very disturbing for the rest of us, right? You don't. Mickey Rourke's a big deal. The Wrestler was awesome. I think they're coming out with The Wrestler 2 as well.
He was a wrestler.
In the movie, he was.
Oh.
It's dark, man. It's a dark, dark film.
Yeah, but it's very, very true. Very, very true.
The meat grinder, the slicer episode, or the slicer when he sticks his hand in the deli slicer, that was, oh God, brutal.
I think like after that movie was out, every wrestler was like, "Oh, he's talking about me. He's definitely talking about me."
So did he die at the end? Do you think he died at the end?
No, because I just told you they're coming out with The Wrestler 2. So he obviously
No, but remember the whole thing was if he ever wrestles again, he's gonna have a heart attack and die. And then the last scene is him jumping off the top rope, and it just like cuts to black.
understand that. And that's what you were supposed to believe. But I just told you The Wrestler 2 is supposed to be coming out. So he's, unless it's he in heaven, then I doubt he died.
It can't be him. He was old in that one. He would be like 70 years old, and his face would be on his ass. The guy's had like 75,000 facelifts.
So what I read was that he's going to be doing like he's going to be a guest on a podcast or something. So they might do, they might do the whole Rocky thing where he, takes a young guy under his wing and he does like one of those. So he tries to get back into the business after all these years. Like the saddest part of that movie was when they all went to do the autograph signing at like the VW, or was it called not VW, the
VFW.
and they're all in that room, and then the one guy's got the pee bag on his leg, and they're all, it just goes by so fast. You see wrestlers now that people in sports in general have looked at their business totally different, because back in the day it was, this is what I do. And you don't think after that, right? There's no life, there's no life after. This is what I do. and I'll always do this and I'll always be associated with it. That's not the case. That life goes by real quick. I mean, you look at NFL players that only play in the league for 3 years. People aren't knocking their door down to come do appearances or anything like that anymore. They might have a great 3 years, but they go away. They go away. You know, I mean, 1 year, all you hear is Todd Gurley. That's all you hear in the NFL. Todd Gurley, Todd Gurley. Poor Todd Gurley. I wish he would have had a longer career because he was a great running back. But, you know, because of injury, he's gone. Never to be heard from again. You know, I don't know what the guy does. And then you see, like, especially at Georgia, you know, University of Georgia is known not necessarily for having always the greatest. They have great college teams and they have great quarterbacks for college. Alabama, very similar. But when they go in the NFL, excluding Matt Stafford, of course, they don't always pan out, right? You'll get some guy from North Carolina State or something like that. That'll be the better NFL quarterback, never to be heard from again. And they're just trying to make their way in the business, you know, on Twitter or a podcast or, you know, a local radio show and just work their way up. But that's all they know is that. So these wrestlers are the same thing. But now I think those athletes are, that I know they are, they're looking at their lives differently. They're saving their money. They're being smart about their money. I mean, think about it. You sign a 5-year, $70 million deal. You should be okay for the rest of your life if you're not an idiot, right? You'll be good. So what do you do to occupy your time if you've retired at the age of 25? What do? You know, you got to think life after. Wrestlers are doing that. That's why the wrestler, you know, you see a lot of wrestlers that had a good run in like WWE for 6 years. They have a name. People are going to know them. They still go to the conventions because people like nostalgia, stuff like that. The business might bring them back years later after a down period. But if not, they go off to do other things. You know, they become school teachers. They open up wrestling schools. You know, Bubba Ray Dudley, he's 50 years old. Love him to death. Still wrestles, you know, periodically on his own terms, has a wrestling school, and is on the #1 sports show on Sirius XM, Busted Open. He's done a great job parlaying his career, you know, but there was a time, and I remember it, when he left the WWE, he was, you know, then he went to Impact. He reinvented himself as a singles wrestler. And then, you know, that went away. Then he had to kind of figure out what he was going to do. And he did it. He was smart about it, real smart about it. You know?
Diamond Dallas Page started a yoga company. He does DDPY.
I know that. Yeah. DDP, you know, DDP and his yoga, and he's got his production team with Steve Yu and all those guys. And they do a lot, you know, they do other things, you know, you got to do other things. So anyway, all right, let's end it up. Chuck, you got anything before we get out?
No, check out the single Worn. You can go to distinctrace.com and follow me on Instagram and Facebook. I'm really racking them up at Chuck from the BS.
Worn, not worm.
Worn, not warm or worm.
Worn. All right. And B-Man, Brandon Thrasher, have you recovered from your stroke?
I'm bouncing back. I think I'm going to get some tacos to solidify my well-being.
Always being healthy. You know, if who's going to die first on the show, it'll be Brandon, without a doubt.
Probably.
So unhealthy. So unhealthy. All right, look, give us a like, share, follow. Go to thebaileyshow.com. All of our socials are up there. The newsletter, please subscribe to that. That's free of charge. The YouTube channel, please subscribe to that at The Bailey Show. Tons of content, not only on social, but also on YouTube. There are full-length shows up there for the Freebae shows like today. If you're listening and you kind of dug what you heard, please subscribe to the rest of the episodes throughout the week. Sometimes you get even a sub extra on Fridays. Just wait for me to get through this move and everything will be back to normal. But you can subscribe, thebaileyshow.com. I appreciate the new subscribers on a daily basis. I see new subscribers. So thank you for doing that. I really, really appreciate it. All right. Until next time.
Thanks for listening. Till next time, check out thebaileyshow.com. Make sure you like, share, follow on all socials. I leave you with these parting words.
Never got a pink slip either. You know what I would get? A guy would come around to my desk and say, "Get the fuck out of here."
What do we want to talk about?
Subscribe at thebaileyshow.com.
Yeah, baby.